All right, let's talk about a single day. January 13th, 2026. This was the day the music really changed. I mean, the experimental, kind of chaotic era of generative AI, it officially ended. And the new age of standardized, multi-trillion-dollar AI infrastructure, well, it began. On this one day, the entire future of AI was completely redrawn.
Now, I know that sounds a little dramatic, but honestly, it's the only way to describe the huge shifts we saw on this one Tuesday. For the past few years, right, it's been this frantic race, this feature war fought in product demos, all about who had the best model. But as of today, that war is, for all intents and purposes, over. The game has changed, and it has changed decisively. So, the obvious question is, who won? Well, it's not a single company. It's not about who has the slickest chatbot anymore. Nope. The victory, it turns out, belongs to the ones who control the entire stack. And by that, I mean everything. From the silicon chips humming away in data centers, all the way up to the operating systems on billions of devices. And that victory was sealed by a new, massive alliance.
And here it is, the headline of the day, no question. Apple and Google have announced a multi-year, multi-billion-dollar partnership. In a huge pragmatic pivot away from its usual go-it-alone strategy, Apple is now integrating Google's Gemini models to be the foundational intelligence, the bedrock for Apple Intelligence, and a totally reimagined Siri. This deal just fundamentally rewrites the rules of the AI game. And you have to understand, the scale of this upgrade is just staggering. This isn't just some minor update. We're talking about going from the old Siri that could, set a timer, to a new assistant that can literally see what's on your screen and understand the context across all of your apps. It's a massive leap from a simple command tool to a true digital co-pilot that can handle multi-step project planning.
And this is the number that makes that whole leap possible. 1.2 trillion parameters. That is an 8-fold increase in model complexity over what Apple had been building internally. This is the kind of raw power you need for really sophisticated reasoning, and Apple basically decided it was faster and smarter to partner up for it than to try and build it all from scratch.
Okay, so let's unpack the strategic fallout here, because this is crucial. OpenAI, who was once this high-profile partner for Apple, has pretty much been pushed to the side, more like a utility now. Google won the deal because they could offer the whole shebang, not just the models, but the vertically integrated hardware stack with their own custom chips to run it all. And here's the brilliant part for Apple. They get Google's brainpower, but they process all the sensitive stuff in their own hardware-enforced private cloud compute. This keeps user data completely firewalled from Google, solving that huge privacy puzzle.
But look, a software brain that powerful needs an equally powerful body, right? And that's where the day's second massive announcement comes in. Over at the Consumer Electronics Show, NVIDIA just pulled the curtain back on the hardware foundation for this whole new industrial era of AI. It's called the Vera Rubin platform, and believe me, it's not just a new chip, it's an entire blueprint for what they're calling AI factories.
And this platform is an absolute beast. We're talking about 6 distinct brand new chips, from the Vera CPU to the Rubin GPU, all designed to work in perfect sync, like one giant supercomputer. And it's all built for something called agentic reasoning, which is just a fancy way of saying it gives an AI the ability to think through complex, multi-step problems all on its own. Think of a self-driving car trying to navigate a crazy, unpredictable intersection. That's the kind of thinking we're talking about. And here's the number that's going to blow your mind, the economic kicker. NVIDIA is claiming a 10-fold reduction in the cost of inference. Now, inference is the cost of actually using an AI model to get an answer. When you make the fundamental unit of AI production 10 times cheaper, you don't just speed things up, you trigger a total phase change. This makes pervasive, always-on AI economically possible at a scale we have just never seen before.
And this quote really gets to the heart of what this new platform is all about. You see, the big challenge isn't just about cramming more data into these models anymore. It's about enabling them to think and to reason fast, to handle what engineers call branchy logic. You can think of it like a decision tree with thousands and thousands of possible paths. That's the kind of complex, real-time problem solving an autonomous agent needs to actually function in the real world.
So, with Apple and Google now joined at the hip, and NVIDIA setting the entire hardware agenda for the next few years, where does that leave OpenAI? Well, they didn't just sit there. They responded with a huge countermove. After an internal code red to catch up with Google's latest benchmarks, they dropped GPT 5.2, a model that is very specifically designed not for casual chats, but for high-value professional work.
And the performance numbers here are Well, they're kind of stunning. On a benchmark that measures capability across 44 different professions, the thinking tier of GPT 5.2 matched or flat out exceeded human expert performance in over 70% of tasks. This is OpenAI's big pivot. They're moving away from being a general-purpose chatbot and becoming a specialized, incredibly powerful tool for the knowledge economy.
And if you need just one example of what that really means in practice, here it is. In a case study, GPT 5.2 solved an open problem in mathematical statistics that had been previously unresolved. This quote is so powerful because, unlike before, where humans were guiding the AI, here the AI generated novel knowledge all on its own. That's a fundamental shift from just summarizing information that already exists to actually creating brand new understanding.
So, all this incredible new intelligence, it's not just staying locked up in the cloud. On this very same day, January 13th, the trend of physical AI moved from the research lab straight onto the factory floor. Boston Dynamics announced that its Atlas humanoid robot has started field testing at a Hyundai plant, autonomously performing real warehouse tasks.
And the market is betting huge on this physical side of AI. Case in point, Mobileye, a leader in self-driving car tech, just spent $900 million to buy a company called Menti Robotics. Now, why would they do that? Because it turns out the perception hardware, the powerful on-device computing, and the AI models you need for a self-driving car are the exact same technologies you need for a humanoid robot.
And this convergence is happening everywhere you look. What's starting to emerge is a kind of standardized playbook for building robots. You've got Boston Dynamics building the machines themselves, Mobileye merging the tech stacks, Qualcomm providing the powerful brains on a chip like Dragonwing, and NVIDIA building the foundational AI models. We are seriously entering a plug-and-play era for autonomous machines.
Of course, a technological revolution on this scale creates massive shockwaves. It's fracturing regulations around the globe and setting financial markets into an absolute frenzy.
And yeah, around the world, governments are scrambling to respond, but nobody's on the same page. China is pushing for strict biometric data localization, forcing companies to store things like your face and fingerprints right on your device, not in some distant cloud. The EU, meanwhile, is all about tech sovereignty, trying to build open-source alternatives to the US tech giants. And here in the US, it's kind of chaos, with a growing fight between new state laws and a federal government that wants to overrule them.
The market, for its part, is absolutely euphoric. Riding high on that Apple partnership news, Alphabet, that's Google's parent company, surpassed a $4 trillion market cap for the very first time. They're now in the same elite club as NVIDIA, Microsoft, and Apple. The market is basically rewarding the companies that have both foundational AI leadership and massive distribution channels. But not everyone is convinced. Michael Burry, the investor famous from The Big Short, revealed he's actually betting against some of these pure AI infrastructure companies like Oracle. He's questioning the whole underlying economics of this boom, wondering if maybe we're building too much capacity too fast. It's a really critical counter-narrative to all the hype, and it highlights the risk of a major correction down the road.
So what's the big takeaway from this one historic day? It's a phase change, plain and simple. The AI war is now won by those who control the full stack, the operating systems on our devices and the silicon in the data centers. The hardware roadmap is basically locked in for the next few years. And with expert-level AI now a reality, the main challenge for all of us shifts from pure invention to the much harder problems of regulation, scaling, and integration.
Which leaves us all with this one final thought. We are entering an era where artificial intelligence is going to be as foundational, as just there as electricity. But that raises a really profound question for the years ahead. Who gets to control the switch?